Deep in the forest there was a clearing, and in that forest there lived a frog named Polly. And Polly was a frog who once was a tadpole until he grew up. And now he's going to college to study to be a wizard frog. And Polly, I wish him good luck. He meets another frog named Leather, and together they work on a codified ledger. And they build little pots and pans for the homes for the badgers. And all the badgers get weak in the knees, and they all smoke Easy Breeze. And so as you're walking through the forest in the clearing, you see a big stump, and that's Polly's house or dorm. And he steals lots of toilet paper from humans who hoard, and drinks out of bottles made out of recyclable plastics that do no harm. And he talks to the spirits in the deep and long wood, overshadowed by his thoughts of becoming a celebrity in Hollywood. And so he builds windows in his spare time next to the pots and pans. And the windows that he builds are made of creatures that dance. And we call them fairies. Fairies with wings, and fairies with berries, and fairies with outfits made out of well, I don't know what they were made of. But he liked to eat wheat thins and drink non-alcoholic wine. And he loved sunships until he broke his back while holding up dimes. And in this story, there is no plot, just a happy wizard frog who graduated with a good grade of a lot. And so Polly the White became Polly the Gray, much to the opposite effect, having no dramatic effect, the same as Lord of the Rings. Now, as night began to fall, he met some elves, and they spoke in a weird and intolerable language for humans. But Polly, the White, the Gray, now Red, I think, he liked to smoke holly with these elves who loved folly. And the fairies came, and everybody was building giant buildings made out of pots and pans. And they made a trailer park called Trashy Land. And then one day came an evil spirit named Gorg, and Gorg had some serious childhood trauma at the hands of Obama. And so the frog named Polly went to the center of the earth to get the evil gemstone to defeat the creature who was that evil other wizard, who wasn't quite a wizard but was an eye that spoke from a giant mountain to some creatures that were really creepy. It lived in a cave somewhere with a spider and, Gollum and all that. And then they played some poker, and they, smoked some holly and talked about, wizard stuff. And Polly was a little bit flambasted one day, and so he decides to paint and pray. He wakes up in some forest on some unknown island on a planet called Europa that's really a moon of Jupiter, and people were settling there in the future. And there was a lot of ice. It was all like liquid nitrogen and crap, and you really shouldn't use drugs. But anyway, I'm turning this story into a poem, into a rap, and I really don't know where it's headed, but neither does Polly, because he's on another planet. It's really not a planet. Like I said, it's a moon. It's called Europa. Why would anybody move there? Maybe it's because of the fair conditions and the fact that there's elements, and we think we can, just move to other planets and destroy this one because, human beings are crazy. But, that just restores my faith in humanity. But anyway, he was reading this book a long time ago, and it was a good book. But then came the cold front, and I got a notification on my phone that said something about El Nino weather. And I was like, isn't that a wind? And so I was like, no. Polly, the red, who's now green, he was always arbitrary colors, but he said, El Nino, what's that? That was a weird-ass dream. Found myself in the middle of a forest, in a clearing. And I wonder, is Polly here? And he says, I'm an arbitrary color. And that's really all the story is a breakdown of logic. You might want to head cover because, the cold front's coming in and the tornado is spinning and rapping and everything's just, So Polly, he's a wizard, and he meets these raptors on Europa in that clearing, in that forest. And they all tell him, you need to grow a beard. And he says, why? And they say, you're going undercover. He's like, what? And they're like, yeah. You gotta, like, you're doing I don't know, really. But anyways, my mind wanders, and I couldn't think of anything random or freely associated. But anyway, so, Polly becomes, even older, and, he starts looking like Grogu in The Mandalorian, and he says, I think I'm going to just be a tax collector. And so he buys a long, train of trailers, and he makes a trailer park. Collects taxes from the European raptors. And, he operates a switchboard that tells him exactly where Jesus is. And he finds Jesus. And then everything's okay. And they smoke holly together. In Europa, I don't know why we'd want to move there. Or even Mars. It's kind of like moving to Florida. Well, anyways, in the cold and dark and lonely wood in Europa, the raptors and the fairies are all hitting the slopes, and skiing's pretty popular there. Yeah. And people take way too much L-Dopa. If you don't know what that is, it's synthetic dopamine. Anyway, you should watch Awakenings with Robin Williams in it. It's a good movie. Not really, it sucks. I like Robin, but, I prefer Patch Adams. Better movie about a doctor in a hospital. But, I mean, he wasn't really a doctor, but, Robin Williams is funny. Anyways, came the knock at the door, and little Polly, he's wondering, what happened before? And the answer is, nobody knows. Nobody. But this I know for sure, that I know nothing for sure. Came the knock at the door, and it was a giant man in a catsuit who said, "Where's Grandma?" And Polly pointed to the wolf, and he said, he ate her. And the whole world seemed superfluous. In reality, just shattered. And it turned into a tornado. Yep. Anyways, I'm bored, but this is a good story. I hope you liked it. They built a skyscraper several months later. It was pretty tall. They called it the second Empire State Building. I never knew that frogs could be wizards. It's an unknown talent. Apparently they sing pretty well, but a lot of people call it croaking. Yeah. Well, if you get a chance, go to Europa. It's a great tourist destination. Everybody loves the Space Force.